Welcome to Aging on the Suncoast. I'm Catherine Bursch, your host today. I'm the outreach manager for the Area Agency on Aging of Pasco-Pinellas, sometimes called AAAPP. As always, we have a great program coming up, and today we're focusing on the role of caregivers. According to the RAND Research Group in the United States, there are 105 million caregivers. 105 million people taking care of someone who is aging, ill, or disabled. Think about it. Caregiving is a universal issue. Everyone in their lifetime will either receive or give care. Here's the story of just one local family experiencing the joys and, yes, also the stress of caregiving. Outside this Clearwater home, the ramps give a hint of what's inside.
He's been getting up like this for years, right, you?
Nothing is fast. Nothing is easy.
A daily routine.
It's been that way for Eugene Travis ever since he was 19 and going too fast.
Eugene was hurt in 1979 in a car accident.
Smashing his car and damaging his brain.
And he hasn't walked since.
Now 66, Eugene spent decades in and out of various brain treatment centers and institutions. But in 2018, Eugene's sister, Terry Glessner, quit her job and brought him home.
And there we are.
The move saved Terry and her mother the drives to Orlando to visit.
You know how traffic is going to Orlando.
And family is important.
He wanted to come home, you know what I mean? You go visit them and, you're leaving them.
And now there are no doubts about his care.
We thought that he would do better with the family than laying in bed at those facilities, you know.
Yui, as his family calls him, spends much of the day watching the flickering images on TV.
And he loves wrestling.
But for Terry, Yui's care is time-consuming and difficult, even for this former certified nursing assistant.
And Eugene, he's total care. He's 24-hour care, you know. Everything from bathing to bowels and everything I have to do. You have to have a good attitude or you'd never make it.
The Area Agency on Aging does provide help. Diaper deliveries help stretch the family's budget.
When you need the diapers, I'll bring some back.
Oh, every little bit helps. You know, when you're taking care of somebody, every little bit helps, and you're grateful.
And once a month, funding from AAAPP pays for someone to watch Eugene, so Terry and her husband can take a break.
You have to have a break. It gets to be a lot, you know.
And Terry is caretaker times two. She also watches her 88-year-old mother, Shirley.
Sit right here, Mom. You can have the pillow behind your back.
Okay.
Whose eyesight is fading.
Oh, Terry does a lot for me. I love living here. I love living here.
And funding from AAAPP helps there too.
My mom, I get 10 hours a week. 7 hours is for her personal care, to put her in the shower and bathe her and clean her. And 3 hours is for homemaking, to do her laundry, to keep her bedroom clean.
But right along with the monetary help, Terry says there's comfort in just knowing that the Area Agency on Aging is backing her up.
Till the next time. They're just there. It's if you need something, you know, there's somebody to call on.
With damaged vocal cords, it's difficult for Eugene to talk.
Okay.
But it's clear he's thankful for his sister and the care he receives at home.
Yeah.
Even though nothing is fast and nothing is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah.
You can see how caregiving, especially in a family setting, is really 24/7. And fortunately, the Area Agency on Aging does have programs aimed specifically at supporting caregivers. And joining me now is Christine Didion. She's the Director of Programs at AAAPP. Christine, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Christine, of course, everyone's situation is unique, but the family we saw in the video, their caregiving stress and challenges really isn't unusual, right?
Definitely not. And as we saw in the video, caregiving can be rewarding and very satisfactory for a lot of individuals who are taking care of a loved one in their own home to delay or completely avoid the need to move into an assisted living facility or a nursing facility. And while it can be rewarding, it certainly comes with immense challenges. We have to remember that caregivers are their own person. We see a lot that caregivers are living with their own physical health conditions or a complex medical diagnosis right alongside the person that they're caring for. We also see a lot of financial stressors or worries, as well as just the emotional toll that it can take on a person to care for someone else. We see a lot that caregivers are isolated because they don't have the time, extra time, to not only care for themselves and address maybe a physical health condition or work outside of the home, but they also just don't have time to do things that they enjoy.
Wow, I never thought about that isolation factor. You are just so busy. You're not out having coffee with friends.
Exactly.
You're at home
Yes.
doing that caregiving.
Absolutely.
So we heard a little bit about how AAA PP helped Terry Glessner and her situation. Tell us more about the programs that we have that help just kind of bolster that caregiver.
Yep. So Terry's family is enrolled in the National Family Caregiver Support Program, which the Area Agency on Aging of Pasco-Pinellas provides directly in both Pasco and Pinellas counties. The main goal of this program is to not only support the senior to live in their own home for as long as possible and as safely as possible, but also support the caregiver and support their ability to continue to provide that care. By caregiver, we mean an informal caregiver. It can either be a family member, a friend, doesn't necessarily have to be someone related to the person they're caring for, but it's someone who is not paid to be a caregiver. The main service that is available with this program is called respite, and it can be provided in the home or in an adult daycare setting, and it's intended to give the caregiver a break from the constant demand of providing that care for someone, while also making sure that that senior receives assistance, supervision, or the care while the caregiver can go to their own doctor's appointments or just simply do something for themselves or even take a nap.
That really speaks to that whole issue of isolation you were talking about, that this gives the caregiver a break to get out of the house
Absolutely.
and do some things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is the role of the caregiver specialist from AAA PP that sometimes visits the family?
Yeah, that's the most important aspect of the caregiver program. Our caregiver specialists are assigned to each senior and caregiver that's enrolled in this program, and they really help guide the family or the caregiver and that senior through that caregiving journey. The caregiver specialists are responsible for coordinating the services that I mentioned that the program can provide. And they check in with the caregiver and the senior monthly or more often just to make sure those services are occurring like they're supposed to. And they can also help connect that senior or caregiver with additional community resources for any new needs that might arise in the future.
Yeah, and we heard in the video that it's that presence, that knowing there's someone to lean on, someone you can call to just talk to and figure out some problems if there are any.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then how are these programs funded, Christine?
So this program is provided for free to caregivers and seniors through the Older Americans Act.
So that's very important that this program is available. So many families find themselves in that situation where you have a loved one, and if you have the resources and the energy, it's best if they can be in the home.
Absolutely, but everyone needs a little support, and that's what this program aims to do.
Absolutely. And what is the best way for folks interested in this program to find out if any services are available?
Seniors or caregivers should certainly reach out to our Elder Helpline for more information and to be screened for eligibility.
Thanks for all that great information, Christine. That caregiving is so emotional for families, and they want to do it, and it's nice that we're able to kind of wrap our arms around them as well.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And if you would like to help support the Caregiver program serving families right here in our area, go to our website. That's www.agingcarefl.org. You'll see a donate button, click it, and there's a drop-down menu for caregiver support programs. Any donation will help us serve more families. And once again, to find out information about caregiver programs or really any other services for seniors, call the Area Agency on Aging's helpline. That's 1-800-963-5337, 1-800-963-5337. And stay tuned. Coming up after the break, another caregiver story. This one features a veteran and his best friend. Welcome back to Aging on the Suncoast. I'm Catherine Bursch. In this half of the program, we continue on our caregiver journey. You know, sometimes, like we've already seen, caregivers are family members, and in other cases, the caregiver is a paid employee. In the best cases, that employee can become almost like a family member, and that's the story of Charlie and Terry, a veteran and a friend, now sharing a mission of caregiving. At age 19, Charlie Figueroa joined the Army. Military service runs in his family.
All my family members. I have my father, my cousins, my uncles.
In the combat infantry and stationed in Germany, Charlie soaked up important values like discipline and teamwork.
Serving my country and keeping my country safe.
Now at 66 and dealing with health issues stemming from his service,
I can move my upper body and I'm paralyzed from the waist down.
This veteran is still using skills learned long ago.
Survival skills, how I always move on when you're down, you get back up, move forward.
And in this Land O'Lakes home, the other member of Charlie's team is Charlie's full-time caregiver, Terry Headings.
Well, yeah, we were a good team. Like I said, we know for that for a long time, and he's a good worker, and he's there helping me out 24/7.
Terry cooks
Pork and fried rice.
and cleans, and also provides more personal care for Charlie, like stretching out his muscles
Yeah, every day.
to maintain his flexibility.
This loses your muscles, gives you circulation, helps your back muscles.
Funding from the Area Agency on Aging's Veterans Directed Care program allowed Charlie to hire his own caregiver. And no one fit the bill better than his former neighbor and close friend, Terry.
Yeah, it's very important that you could choose your own caregiver than just anyone. It's safer.
And Terry is proud to be on Charlie's team.
Charlie, you know, he's such an inspiration. You know, anybody that's in a wheelchair could learn so much from Charlie and his attitude. He never in a bad mood. He jokes around all the time. I mean, I feel fortunate to have a friend like Charlie.
These days, Charlie and Terry are thrilled to be living in this brand new smart home,
This is my office where I do my work, computer work.
presented to Charlie by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
It's amazing what they do. It's amazing what they do with veterans.
The doors open with the push of a button,
This is what I use.
and it's roomy enough for
Kitchen.
Charlie's wheelchair.
Big difference having space. It's less frustrating.
Service to country, service to others. That's how Charlie was raised. And now the Area Agency on Aging is proud to serve local veterans like Charlie.
So it helps the veterans a whole lot that the AG exists, and the AG helps the veterans, and they care about the veterans, and they want to make sure the veterans is safe and they're able to get help.
The Caregiver program featured in Charlie and Terry's story is called Veterans Directed Care. AAAPP partners with the local VAs on it, and it serves not just seniors, but veterans of all ages. If you're a veteran interested in this program, you should call your VA case manager or the VA directly. Now, joining me are Stephanie Young, she's the Health and Wellness Coordinator at AAAPP, and Colette Florido, who has traveled the Caregiver Road. Thanks for joining me today, both of you.
Thanks for having us.
It's my pleasure. Happy to be here.
We're going to continue our discussion on caregiving. First, Stephanie, we've seen the demanding role that caregivers have. And do caregivers have to look after themselves as well?
Yeah, I mean, the statistics are out there. We know that caregiver mortality rates are higher for caregivers that experience burden and strain in their relationships. So if they don't take care of themselves, if there's not self-care aspect of it, I mean, then they don't feel like they can care for their actual person either. And so that it's a partnership, between the care person and the caregiver. And they're both such important roles that we have to make sure that we're not just providing care for that person, but they're taking time for themselves in order to serve their needs. We're better caregivers when we take care of ourselves too.
Right. If a caregiver is failing and becoming exhausted or crabby for that matter, it doesn't do the person that they're trying to care for any good.
No,
as
and
well.
their emotions, like the person themselves, especially if they have a dementia-related disease, your frustrations, your emotions will project onto those people as well. So if you're feeling frustrated, then they get more frustrated. And so that relationship can really be strained. And like you said, caregiver burnout happens. Mortality rates are higher. They often... there are statistics that they pass before their person that they're taking care of, and that's a scary thing to think about. That those people that you're caring for might not have someone to help them. And so self-care is important.
And Colette, we had a chance to chat earlier. You were the caregiver for your father who had dementia. That can be a tough road. And what kind of challenges did you experience through that?
Well, like Stephanie was saying, taking care of yourself is so difficult, but so important. Being the caregiver to my father, who had frontotemporal dementia, that diagnosis came fairly early on, and I was still young. I had just given birth to my second daughter, and I was the sandwich generation. I call it the panini press, because you are absolutely smashed in trying to care for the young lives and then caring for my father. And I think the other challenge is not only are you dealing with the grief, dealing with the loss of this person that I once knew, but I'm also trying to make sure that I can help him the best way I can. But I didn't know much about the disease. I didn't know much about how to handle somebody with a dementia-related illness. So there was that challenge. You're also trying to live when grieving. I'm just trying to find joy with my children. So that balance of life with the family and the dynamic, that's always a challenge. And I think what we talked about earlier is just that feeling of isolation, being alone, not having somebody to take on the role for me when I needed a break, because they just don't understand everything that's going on in this scenario. So you really do feel very alone and isolated through the process.
Was it important for you to have your kids to at least have some type of relationship with your father?
Absolutely. The girls helped to keep things light. They really brought a smile to his face when they would come in the door. And that pure joy and emotion is something that you didn't always get. Somebody with a frontotemporal dementia doesn't always know how to communicate with words. So just to see the smile on his face really helped for me to take a step back and go, okay, we're doing what we can, we're doing the best that we can, and that the girls are here to bring that love back.
And that's important for you, just to set your heart at ease, to feel like we made the right decision. We may be struggling, but we made the right decision.
Oh my gosh, the caregiver is constantly worrying about the decisions that they're making. And the number one thing we'll say is, I didn't do enough. Did I do enough? Did I do the right thing? And so just seeing that we could have those moments where the girls are enjoying Sesame Street and they're learning about a song and the letters, and my dad could understand what it was at a level that he could also recognize. It made it make sense that, yes, I was doing what I could, and I'll still always look back and go, could I have done more, and had I done enough? But the reality is that we did everything that we could to be with him, to give him a quality of life. And yes, there's always something more we could have done, but we really enjoyed what we did have.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing such a personal journey with us today. Now, you've both talked about the importance that it's important for the caregiver to take care of themselves. Stephanie, what kind of resources does AAAPP to have to support a caregiver in that situation?
Yeah, so as the Health and Wellness Coordinator, we offer a class called the Selfie Caregiver Program. And it's really an education-based class. It's not a support group. It is all about helping our caregivers gain skills, gain knowledge, especially. A lot of people come into this, and like Colette was saying, not knowing the symptoms of different types of dementia, whether it's somebody that has Alzheimer's or frontotemporal dementias or Parkinson's. They all kind of present themselves in a little bit different way. How you communicate with a person will change as their journey changes. Their understanding of basic commands. In the beginning, you might be able to say, hey, go get dressed for the day, and they come back fully dressed. In later stages, you could say, hey, go get dressed for the day, and they might come back with a shirt on, maybe not even wearing clothes properly. You have to understand that communication will change, their understanding of situations will change. And so it really helps provide these tools in a toolbox, right? And you might not need them for every situation, but when different situations arise, you're prepared in order to deal with those changes. That way you don't feel like you're going at every situation blind. You're like, oh, I feel like I know what I can do. I know how I have references I can reference back. As we provide workbooks, and we provide, a really nice caregiver manual that, they can use as references when things change. I mean, that's one of the things we always talk about in class is the only sure thing is that things will change, right? And it could change on the day, it could change on the hour, it could change on the minute, really, how people and how your person responds to a situation. And so being prepared in order to deal with those changes and still be able to find contented involvement between tasks, between the care person and the caregiver, so that both of them are finding joy in an activity and not just feeling like the overwhelming feeling of, a lot of our caregivers feel resentful that they're taking care of people, but they don't feel like they want to feel resentful. It's like there's a guilt between that. And so we really want to give them an opportunity to have those skills. And we're able to do that because of our funding that we get from the Older Americans Act and the government, and through our 3D programs, we can provide these resources free in the community and all over places. We have classes at senior centers. We provide it virtually for those caregivers that feel like they can't leave the house and they can't leave their person because they don't feel safe or they don't feel comfortable leaving them or with someone else. I mean, that's a lot of it, but it's also trying to give them an opportunity to, if you do have to leave the house or you do want to leave the house and leave your person with someone else, these are tools and tricks that you can provide to other people to help in those situations as well. It's all about just preparing them for the future changes and, hoping that they feel a sense of confidence in being a part of that caregiver care person relationship.
And Colette, you have since become an instructor for Savvy Caregiver. You said when you started out, you really knew nothing about this. So you can appreciate how a class like this can help. What can people get out of it?
Well, like Stephanie was saying, the skills, the knowledge, and the outlook. And what we mean by that is really, again, understanding what this disease is truly going to do. And so once a caregiver can really start to understand and move away from, what they expect life to be like. And that's a really hard one. We have people who are professionals. They've built rocket ships. They've been, masters at their crafts. And unfortunately, as this disease progresses, it limits them back to almost a childlike state. And so here, these families are having to make adjustments, and the care person is having to make an adjustment to see the person who they are today and let go of the expectations of what they would like them to be or what they once were. So just really understanding what the knowledge of this disease is going to do and how it's going to affect them. And that allows them to also be more empowered in talking to their families and explaining what's happening. Oftentimes there's, a family dynamic too. I was kind of lucky because I didn't have any brothers or sisters to have to deal with. But on the other hand, it's nice to have somebody that can come in and help, but there's all that extra dynamic, and do they see it the same way? So a caregiver can then say, well, look, this is what's happening with the disease. And when they start to look at it that way, it's almost like they can unplug their heart just for a few minutes to make more clinical decisions.
Kind of rational decisions.
Rational decisions. And it helps them to see how they can become more empowered and not just kind of pushed down into these emotions that you're feeling as a caregiver, the grief and the loss and the feeling like you're just kind of backed into a corner, and it's just a lot of negative emotions that you usually start to see. And it's our job to help them really see, first of all, that there are opportunities to feel the gratitude and the success and know that you are being the safety and security for that person, and that they look to you and that you can be there for them. So that, and such a heavy emphasis in this class on, really how can you take the knowledge and apply it to your person. So that toolbox, what we're talking about, it really helps them to know, okay, as this progresses, I'm going to have confidence in what I do because I've already talked about this. And then you have that last piece, which we make sure that we cover every week, which is, what are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for your self-care? Because we really have to work to get over that feeling of, the guilt of I should be with my person all the time. I shouldn't be enjoying myself and having a life because of the situation that they're in, and I should just be here with them every moment. And the reality is that you just can't. The way I always describe it is, we always talk about, we've run out of gas in the tank, right? You don't want to run out of gas in your tank. This is not a gas in the tank scenario. This is what happens when you don't put oil in your engine. Your engine will shut down, and your person knows you to be their safety and security. And what happens if you are not there to do that? And once they make that realization that I really need to take care of myself because I'm not able to fire myself from this job, I'm not able to hand it off to someone else, those are the sorts of aha moments. And you can see it in the first class. That's my favorite part.
Okay.
Just from the very first class, people start to understand. We go through an exercise just to lay out, what roles are you taking on as a caregiver? And we just have a list of things that a caregiver ends up having to do in their job, from the financial pieces to doing laundry and cleaning to medicine management and all of these other pieces, behavioral management and their physical well-being. These are not jobs that anyone interviewed me for. Nobody said, are you sure you're an expert in these things?
Right.
They just handed them to me and said, this is now part of your job. And I think for the caregivers to be able to recognize that somebody understands where they're coming from and I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can feel like you're still in control of a situation that is not always in your control. It just makes them more empowered to be a better caregiver, and hopefully they walk away with a way to manage themselves and their emotions and the process that they're going through with a little bit more ease.
Is there a group dynamic, though you said it's not really a support group, but do people have tips and hints, or this worked for me in this situation, that they share with each other?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, even from, we ask them to try some of the techniques, and every week that's part of the class too. There's a check-in of, hey, who did their homework, whether it was the self-care or some of those tips and tricks, did you implement them? And you always hear it. I'm always constantly like, oh, that's great, that'll be something that, you know, instructors will have to use in the next class to provide those resources. Or, you know, that worked for me, or that didn't work for me, or we tried this but this didn't. You know, even I know they talk about, you know, adult daycares and different places of to have a little bit of respite. Mm-hmm. And they all kind of tips, tricks, all of it. We welcome all of those kinds of, you know, I mean, anytime people talk about something, it just can trigger, you know, other thoughts. And it really is, I think you find as you go on, they feel more comfortable sharing.
They do, and they're definitely, they come in with this mentality of support group, and so we kind of have to clarify that there are some great support groups out there, and absolutely you should be taking advantage of it. It probably took all that they could just to schedule the 2.5 hours to get to the class and to be there for 2 hours a week. It's a huge commitment for somebody who just doesn't have time right now. But once they get in there and they really start to recognize that these classes are power-packed, I think the challenge that we have is it's only 2 hours. Yeah. And so we're trying to get all of their content, and we're trying to get all of their feedback, their successes, and absolutely the failures. And in fact, that's what we want to hear. Oh my gosh, I tried this and it failed miserably. That's the whole point, because we want you to feel comfortable with trying things. You become a scientist here, and you have to test out some different things that'll work. And so they're taking notes. They're taking notes on, because we've got folks in all different stages of dementia-related illness. So now you've got folks who are near the end of their journey and some who are just in the beginning. And so everyone's taking notes and sharing their insights and able to say, have you tried this, or think about this? And I mean, there's just not enough time in the 2 hours to cover it.
No, they often are like, this is only 6 weeks. Can we do even more weeks? Or, I know even one of our classes, we had a lady who her significant other was in later stages, and she really, the thing that she got out of it was validation. That like she felt like, oh my God, I didn't do everything wrong. I did some things right along the way. And I think that really, and then she was able to provide a lot of insight for those people that were in those earlier stages of like, this is kind of what might happen in the next 5 or 10 years. And that in itself, you know, every week just to hear, it just made her feel a little bit better.
It really does sound like this could be a lifeline for folks. Stephanie, what's the best way people can find out about signing up for a Savvy Caregiver class?
Yeah, they can contact our health and wellness programs at 727-570-9696, and that's extension 163. Or they can also email us at healthandwellness@aaapp.org. And they can get some more info and find some classes in their area. Or create a class if they have enough people.
And I would say, you know, as a caregiver, there are so many great programs. I just didn't know what I didn't know. Yeah. And so as a caregiver, make the first step, call the area agency on aging, find out about the programs, and find out what might be beneficial to you, because there's a lot of great programs out there, but I just didn't even know that they existed or that they would help me. So you've got to make that first step.
Make the first step. Thanks so much for being here today and providing this information. I know there are so many people out there that can use this information. And after hearing your story, Colette, I hope they do take that first step. Now, the caregiver programs we talked about today are just a couple of the many services available to seniors in our area. The mission of the Area Agency on Aging is to help seniors live safely in their homes longer. We also serve individuals with disabilities. So if you need some help at home or know of someone who could use assistance, call the Area Agency on Aging's helpline. That number is 1-800-963-5337. We get a lot of calls, so you may have to leave a message, but you will get called back. That helpline really is the doorway to services. Thanks for joining us today for Aging on the Suncoast. I'm Catherine Bursch. Live well at home.